Thank you so much for coming and being here. It's still a bit of a shock that this is actually a real thing. And we're really excited for the next 2 days. iN-Net, the International Nitrogen Network, is a new project. At its core, iN-Net is a network of networks, all devoted to more sustainable nitrogen management. We want, as a scientific community, to work with non-academic stakeholders to ensure that the knowledge that is being produced responds to policy concerns. Humanity has a complicated relationship with nitrogen. Half of the world's food that we produce is as a result of our ability to harness nitrogen in synthetic fertilizer. And yet, about half of the nitrogen that we consume every year gets lost to the environment. And because of the unique chemistry of nitrogen, it worsens climate change, air and water pollution, biodiversity loss, ozone depletion. And so how we manage our relationship with this critical resource is at the source of the problem of whether we can also manage our relationship to this planet more sustainably.
iN-Net is a unique project because it's bridging the science policy gap, and we have 9 different partner networks, and they're involved in sort of every aspect of tackling the nitrogen pollution issue. On one hand, we're working with more research-focused networks, and on the other hand, more policymakers, UN focal points, and people who are working with national governments. And so we're kind of tackling this nitrogen pollution issue from all angles and leveraging our partner networks to bring different communities together who might not otherwise have any sort of interaction.
iN-Net has 3 core activities. We have a data dashboard, we have working groups, and we have fellowships. There is a lot of data that already exists, and the problem is that that data is often spread across many different places in many different formats. And so the goal of this data dashboard is to aggregate that data, visualize it in a compelling way in a new platform, and it would be a one-stop shop for any country in the world to get a baseline understanding of what their nitrogen profile is in order to have the ingredients for creating an ambitious national action plan on nitrogen.
The data group is kind of the scientific and intellectual underpinning of the data dashboard. So our data group is doing 2 things. One, some very basic science assembly of data sets, but then this other much more dynamic, multidisciplinary discussion of which data sets are most likely to create action.
The major goal for the climate working group is to better communicate the interconnections between the nitrogen management and climate change, and also being able to work together with the climate community in order to push for more win-win solutions for those 2 major challenges, meanwhile trying to avoid some of the unintended consequences of climate mitigation efforts on the nitrogen pollution.
One of the rich things about the governance working group is that governance requires a way of thinking about nitrogen and the biochemical processes behind that in a different way. What is key for us, and what is a key kind of driver of what we're doing, is identify pathways. And to do that, we need to assess first where we are and why we are where we are, what evidence we have of things that have worked already at certain scales, and therefore what can we recommend based on evidence.
Our 3rd component is fellowships. These are really important and exciting opportunities for early career scientists and professionals. And we have both research fellowships and policy fellows. The research fellows are embedded in each of the working groups, and they are really the engine of those working groups. And then a unique addition to this project is policy fellows, where we are embedding professionals into 3 of our more policy-focused partner networks. And there they are working on a project over the course of the year that is helping to support those partner networks in specific policy initiatives that they're working on.
The motivations of our fellows are to build up their skills at the science policy interface to be able to better communicate science to policymakers and make that actionable.
Coming here to this workshop, the most unique thing that I have noticed is just the openness of the scientific community to young people in the research community like me and the other fellows. It's been really interesting to see how willing people are to just share their expertise, and the institutional knowledge that they've developed over time and their wisdom has been really, really special.
I think it's something we don't talk about much, but early career scientists and researchers need spaces like this, and we need senior researchers to provide us such platforms to grow, and this is one of those perfect platforms.
The conversations have been great within the groups, but also outside of the groups, some really good connections and stuff that's not just going to be useful within the iN-Net sphere, but useful in the wider policy work that we do on nitrogen. All kind of nebulous conversations which are difficult to have over Zoom. Super good to get together and have them in person.
It's very inspiring knowing that for the longest time, I feel like, nitrogen people are kind of like siloed into these corners, but knowing that more people actually care and seeing them in person is inspiring and exciting as well.